Greetings, programs. Welcome back to ArcNeo Reviews, where we're actually going to do something I've not really done before. We're talking both about a couple of figures, but also actually a technically lost, canceled series that I actually have, granted, limited experience with. There's no point in hiding it. You've already seen the thumbnail and the title. I don't like to try and be mysterious about crap. We're talking a little bit about Jurassic Park Chaos Effect. Now, the short summary version here is this was a cartoon series that was supposed to come out around 1997, 1998. It was between Jurassic Park, The Lost World, and Jurassic Park 3. And it's actually had more of an impact on the series than I think people even realize. So, really quick, we're going to go ahead and actually look at some of the figures. First up here, this is not one that I had when I was a kid. This is the Amalgospinus, which is a Spinosaurus crossed with an Amalgasaurus. I'm only vaguely familiar with the Amalgasaurus, but I know what a Spinosaurus is. I saw Jurassic Park 3, except now apparently they're like big crocodile things, and they don't really think they walked on land. No idea. But yeah, this is the kind of toy that a young me was bonkers for. Wow, that face is horrifying. As you can see, this he's been loved. He's missing some paint. However, in terms of like actual important stuff, physically, he is all here. No damage in that regard. As you can see, 1997 Hasbro, Amblin. Very little to talk about in posing on this guy. These 4 legs are posable, or 3 legs are posable, because most of these guys, and all 4 of them that I will be looking at today, have gimmicks. Most Jurassic Park figures did have some kind of gimmick. I think like 1 or 2 slipped out that didn't really. This guy's gimmick, activated by pulling back on this leg, where you can see at least the remnants of his JP .58, telling you which line he was from. All the real Jurassic Park figures had this JP logo on the thigh. Not always the thigh, but usually the thigh. Just pull back on that leg, and several things happen, actually. So 1, you've got these spines on his back flaring. 2, obviously, the mouth is opening. But then you can see better if you look at him from the front. These little spines on his neck are flaring out too. So, from scans I've seen, this is supposed to be like a defensive, frilled lizard kind of thing, really, where it's just like a defensive display, which is kind of interesting, actually. It's like now, thankfully, when you do screw up like I just did and you pull the leg back too far, Hasbro was very smart back in this time. If you pull something too far back, you'll just like pop past the mechanism, and then you can easily just push the leg back. We're good. It's very simple, but it's oddly satisfying. But it's weird because they crossed a herbivore and a carnivore and made this thing that looks super nasty. I'm sure there's pictures you could throw up on here of all the card and all the details and stuff, what details they had. I'm not going to be doing that. This is not what this channel is about. We are not Lost Media or in-depth stuff. I'm pretty sure one of the big Jurassic Park channels out there has probably done something. Who knows? Yeah, we're talking about my experience. Right now we're looking at some of the figures that I remember seeing the cross sales for. and wanted so badly. Next one being the other one of those figures that I've got, we have the Spinoraptor-X. Or not Spinoraptor-X, Velociraptor-X. I always see the like this, and my brain says Spinosaurus. No, it's Velociraptor and Archaeopteryx, I think is how you say that. It has been years since I have tried to say that name. But this is a Velociraptor, you know, the supposedly feathered one, crossed with just a straight up bird. So, this thing is so crazy looking. Effectively, the only posable part on him is this leg. I've had to do some mild repairs on this guy. His paint has held up far, far better than the other guy. Just a little bit of, a little rubbing on some of the extremities. Very easily done. Most of his logo's still there. That JP logo right there, that was the thing of joy when I was a kid. And this weird, like, little fat sack that all the dinosaurs had back here, even though this one's, like, intensely skinny otherwise. I do need to kind of train these arms out a little ways so they don't keep getting caught, because this guy's gimmick, again, you pull back with this leg, and not only do you get the action, you get sounds. Now, if you have this arm at least in the right spot, it will move as well with the other body parts. But as you can see, yeah, the wings are kind of getting stuck on the legs. I'm pretty sure I need to just like take a rubber ball or something, like a good squishy one, put it in here so I can just like slowly press these out. Maybe put these in some warm water very carefully, as obviously he does have electronics inside of him. This figure was actually sold as being broken, and I had to open up what little you can access in this guy and clean out a lot of corrosion because there was a battery explosion inside of him. Funny enough, this hole right there, that's his speaker right there, just a hole. It looks really cool though. This thing was awesome. I remember looking at this on the back of the ones that I had. I wanted it so badly. Now that I've got it, 28 years later, yeah, worth it. Worth it. This thing's so cool. I love the way this thing looks so much. And then actually, the next one we're looking at, I did have as a kid. This is one of the ones I used to have. Not my original one. I have no idea what happened to my original one. It may show up, in which case, sick. I've got 2 of them now. But this is the Compsognathus. And, yeah, while the other ones, you just had 2 dinosaurs crossbred, here you've got 2 dinosaurs and the African tree frog specifically. So you've got a compy. I can't remember the proper Compsognathus. Unfortunately, having owned this guy for a very long time, him being one of my favorite toys I've ever touched, I can never remember the real full name of a compy because I always want to say Compsognathus because of this guy. And I know that it's really, really close to the real name, and it drives me nuts, and I don't care. I love this guy. As you can see, this thing looks so much like the Godzilla that came out from America in the 90s. Like, this is the thing chasing Matthew Broderick around New York. It looks so cool. You've got a compy crossed with a Stegosaurus. All the limbs are posable on this one, just to varying degrees of uselessness, really. But, they are all movable. You can kind of twist the tail if you want to for whatever reason, but it looks really bad because you can see where the tail is painted to line up. and all you do when you move the tail is unline things up. Then there's this gimmick, which is weird, and I only, like, upon getting this guy, figured out what the whole point of the gimmick is. So he's got this orange spike. Yeah, I know colors. He's got an orange spike back here that you can push forward, and when you do, this weird barbed split tongue comes out. And then you hit the obvious button back here on his back, and pulls everything back in. Now, as a kid, I thought that was dumb. It's like, it's a tree frog. Frogs shoot their tongues out to get things. No, the whole point of this toy is you would put that out, you would attach this something in the tail, or in the tongue, and then if it didn't fall out, it would just wind up, held in his mouth like that. So, not the most intense gimmick, but it's there, it works, it's kind of fun, whatever. Then, for our last one, we're eventually going to do something here that I'm sure will anger people. I do actually have one of these guys carded. This thing is pretty badly damaged. This is not damaged, however, this actually was part of the packaging where they made them all, claw marked and stuff. Here we have the end Kylo Ranadon. There is no good way to look at this thing with the with a ring light here. But you can see just, and Kylo Ranadon, codename Sky Terror. Funny enough, of the four that we will have looked at through this video, this is the only other one that has a codename. This one's codename was Lasher. I don't know why only those two of these ones had codenames. We'll take a look at this guy a little better when we pop him open, because yes, we are going to do that. But first, we'll go ahead, we'll look at the cross sales. Here you've got the Alpha, Raptor Alpha. Yeah. Remember how I said that this series was kind of influential on the franchise as a whole? That's when they started naming the Velociraptors Alpha and Beta and things like that. Or, Blue, shall we say. But funny enough, this figure is actually just a straight-up repaint of the Lost World, one of the Velociraptors from that line. I used to have that one. I even recognized the capture gear that came with it. These other ones did not come with capture gear. It was just kind of like the more normally ones. You've got the Tanaconda there with the constrictor neck. I'm assuming it's just, rubber and wire. I don't know. I've never messed with that one. So, same with the Tyrannonops, whatever. It's supposed to be like a T-Rex and a saber-toothed tiger. I don't know. It's weird. Over here, you've got the Ultimatosaurus, which is just an absolute mess of a thing. It's really, really kind of cool looking. I don't believe this ever actually released. Because, so the whole thing was, they were working on this, and they canceled the whole plan right after the first wave of toys came out. Like, I don't think even the entire first wave of toys released before they canceled things. But here you've got the Velociraptor-X. You've got two vehicles, the Land Saber and the Air Saber. I had both of these as a kid, as well as both of these figures. I don't, sadly, anymore. And I know for a fact these ones are just gone. The only two that I might still have somewhere is my other Kylo Ranadon and Compostagnathus. But I can tell you, this was a pretty neat helicopter. It's got, you can kind of make out back there, it has a little trigger and a handle. Handle and everything was just there so you could whoosh it around and fly it. and then the trigger actually fired this missile from down underneath the helicopter. I remember thinking that action figure was really cool too. I don't know if he ever really had a name, but he looked cool. The Land Saber was also kind of a neat one. Again, I don't remember him having a name, but the big grapple arms on it, it was just like a spring, in the back up top at the hinge. You just open them up, grab something, and then it could articulate up and down and like rotate as well. So there was a lot that one could actually do. Roland Tenbo, funny enough, I can confirm the product shot is actually quite a bit different than the toy that really released. Because one, you see like those sculpted details on the end of those missiles in the Gatling gun? As best as I remember, those were actually just completely round and smooth, as well as that gray section of the barrel was also black. I think the rest of him was the same, though. I remember him being kind of neat looking. And then there's that one. Yeah, I only just discovered when I was going through this stuff recently that was supposed to have been Ian Malcolm this whole time, with his Dynamech capture armor. I do remember liking this pretty cool. Well, it just like snapped onto his arm, and this part you could slide out, so like you got to have this little montage of putting it together and putting it on him. The little T-Rex actually had kind of neat colors to it. Though again, you can see like a little painted eye on there. I don't remember the T-Rex's eye actually being painted. I remember it just being like completely white and kind of ghostly. But there's all that. Here you've got, your kind of Hasbro-y style, the chaos genesis of what did they combine to make it, what's it like, the behavior of it, trying to sell this as a real thing. Apparently, this is like a good one because it only hunts when it's hungry and kills what it can eat, so it's not just a mindless monster like some of them are apparently. Here you've got your little storyline about what started all of this, science or tampering and mixing the dinosaurs, and again, we circle back to that whole, this having an effect on the franchise later on. This should sound really familiar. This was the whole plot to the first two Jurassic World movies. This is how we got the Indominus Rex and the Indoraptor. And I guess maybe the Pyroraptor later, I don't know. I know the Pyroraptor's a thing, but I've never watched the show that it's from. I watch movies in movie franchises. I almost never actually watch the forced streaming series that they end up doing. Only time I did watch the streaming series was when I was able to buy the Blu-ray of the Knuckles series. But like I've said, also worth pointing out, even here, see that little spike back there, right in the middle? It's green on the real thing. Now, so I don't completely hurt everyone, I will open this off camera. I'm not going to completely destroy the box. I'm going to just, do the collector thing where I just cut the plastic off and preserve the whole card back. I do really want to keep this card back. Worth pointing out here on the bottom are what little instructions you get. Shove it together and push the lever. And again, they show the lever scale or spike as being purple when it is green. This confused me as a stupid little 5-year-old child. Be right back with a, okay, we're back. Just so everyone can see, I took my time, I used a knife. We have preserved this as well as I can possibly preserve it. Probably going to go slide this into like a page protector or something, and we're going to keep this thing, keep it nice. But at the same time, I'm going to justify my actions in opening this guy up, because, yeah, some plastic in here was definitely reacting a bit. Parts of these wings are sticky, so hopefully them getting to air out a little bit will help out with that. But we will go ahead and get this guy assembled after all of these years. Let's pop those on. By the way, this is not a discoloration of any sort. This is just what the toy looked like. The one I had when I was 5 years old looked the exact same way. But let's go ahead, pop on the tail, spike. And here, let's see if we can use... Yeah! This weird kind of fisheye lens this new phone does. Here we have the Ankylorhamnodon. This thing is just so chaotic, so crazy, and so cool. Oh man, this was actually the first one of this line I ever got when I was a kid. Green was my favorite color, and he was mostly green. That was all I needed to know. Again, he's got that weird, like, fat sack that they put on all the dinosaurs for the Jurassic Park toy lines. Man, it feels so cool having this guy in my hands again. The legs kind of angle out to attack when you bring the legs forward. Like, they also go outward, which is kind of, it's really neat. That way when you pull them back, they just pull in. You saw it's just a ball joint for the wings with a cutout, so you do actually get, like, you know, pretty dynamic range with them on stuff. Looks so good. Head rotates, meaning this guy has probably just become the most articulated of all of these. 5 POA! Man. And then, of course, his attack gimmick. Pull down on the spike, and that's it. Although, I do remember... Yeah, this thing actually hits with a pretty sizable thump. So, you know, not hard for this guy to do that kind of stuff. Oh, man. And you can see, yeah, it's literally just, go back to the normal one here. There's just like a black nylon cord going through the tail. And you're pulling that tight and whap. Oh, man. It still just feels so good to mess with this guy again. I remember kind of being able to sort of... Can't remember exactly how I used to do it. There was kind of a way to make him stand, sort of. Don't know. We'll figure that out when it comes time to do thumbnail-y things. But here, let's go ahead and do the zoom it back out here just for simplicity's sake. Bring them all back in here for one last little shot. Oh my gosh. Yeah, no, in the weirdest, hardest to explain way, getting, especially these two, but messing with these guys for the last few days while getting ready to do this video, it's honestly really been good for my mental state, just because, you know, again, these two that I had when I was a kid, I remember messing with these guys for years and years after. I remember being like 12 and 13 and still really liking them. I truly wish I knew what happened to them. I hope they're still surviving somewhere and I can reclaim them. It would be so cool to have more. But even if not, like, just the memories are so vivid with these guys. The moment I held them, I just remembered being 5, life being simple. You know, my wife was looking at me like standing there and, you know, trying to wipe the tears out of my beard as I'm just having this little moment of like, Man, you remember when life was simple and made sense and you weren't pessimistic yet because you were a kid and things were, pretty alright for the most part? But, so the existential crisis I guess I had from these aside, it's been so fun to get to mess with these guys. There's no way in heck I'm going to try to get more of them. These things are not cheap. Like, had that guy not been sold as broken, he would have cost like 8 times more than what I got him for. We're not going to talk about what I paid for that one. These two, like that one, he's got some paint damage. I can probably fix it, to be honest, if I figure out the right kind of paint. This guy's in great shape. I don't need more than this, but getting to recapture this bit of, like, that particular time as a kid, and with the memories being that strong, me being me, for me, memories are really associated in things, which I know I have to be careful with that, because it means I like to hold on to things that otherwise I wouldn't really hold on to. Not a hoarder. I'm not going to hold on to literal trash, but, like, simple toys tend to do that for me in ways that it's a little hard to explain. But again, getting that moment of that back from these guys, one, it's just kind of helping with things. Hi, the world is weird lately. It has been weird for at least 5 years. It's hard sometimes to think about, keep things straight and keep going with stuff. In some weird, stupid way, I got a nice little reprieve out of these guys. I got to recapture something that I loved when I was a kid. And you know what? Simple as these toys are, I still really think they hold up. I'm really hoping that at some point, maybe, I think it's Mattel or... keep knocking these guys over. You two help each other stand. It's the only option. It's your only hope. Be friends. Be better friends. But I'm really hoping whoever owns the current Jurassic Park, Jurassic World license does end up kind of leaning, maybe makes new versions of these guys. I know they're going to lose the gimmicks, but the extra posability would make up for that, in my opinion. Wow, there's still some goop on my hands from specifically his wings. I have to make sure that he's okay. But because I've seen even some recent, I can't remember what line it was. I think it was like, it wasn't Chaos Effect, it might have been Chaos Theory. And they had a Velociraptor that was just these bright, weird, crazy colors. And I'm like, I know what you're doing there. And so that was actually part of what sparked me to just go see if maybe I could get some of these guys back. Got back the two that I cared the most about, and even got 2 new ones, or new to me ones, including one I dearly wanted as a kid, and I'm so glad I've got him. So, my weird personal ranting aside, these things are awesome. I very much recommend finding someone who's done more of a deep dive on the series itself about Jurassic Park Chaos Effect. It was a really cool idea. I truly don't think we'll ever see it get actually revived, but some references to it and just kind of remembering that it was a thing would be really cool. But all my rambling aside, thank you guys for watching, and as always, I will see you next time.